Check 1, 2. This is Jay Moore from the New Old Heads podcast, episode number 458, with special guest Brother to the Night. This week we talked about the resurfacing of old controversial photos of Tyler, the Creator, and ask whether it's edgy humor or serious lapse in judgment. We also explore TDE Punch's recent comments and consider how Kendrick Lamar's classic album, To Pimp a Butterfly, would be received if it was released later in his career. We dove into the legacy of acts like Redman and Black Thought, how they've managed to thrive where many of their peers have not. We broke down how Rashida Tlaib's newly introduced Living Wage for Musicians Act. We had a debate on whether or not 1 cent per stream royalty is actually the future of artist compensation. And finally, we question if legendary producer Timbaland has crossed the line by creating an AI artist to generate songs, leading fans to call the results of said artist being completely soulless. Tap into episode number 458 of the New Old Heads podcast. Become a Patreon member and get our uncut 2-hour episode. See you in the comments.
You are now listening to the New Old Heads podcast. Our official 1-hour episode is released every Saturday at noon Eastern, but we share the exclusive uncut 2-hour episode to our Patreon members early every Wednesday. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie CD and Vinyl, and Bringing Down the Band, and most importantly, you. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads, where we embrace the new, respect the old, and remain ahead.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast, episode number 458. My name is Jay Moore, and the crew is in the building. Shout out to my man, DJ Jay Diff. How you doing, sir?
Salutations, I am well.
Yes, indeed. And right next to me is the man, the myth, the legend, the producer, the beanie wearer.
Yeah, today.
Lonegevity. How are you?
Howdy. Doing all right.
Not
too bad.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, you know.
All right, and we got my man in the building. He's not a guest anymore. He's just family. Shout out to the homie, Brother to the Night. How you doing, sir?
I'm fine, man. Greetings and salutations, good people.
Okay.
So, old photos and tweets have recently resurfaced from Tyler, the Creator, showing him in what looks like KKK attire, doing a Nazi salute, social media stuff, is things of that nature. This all came on the heels of D'Angelo's passing, where he shared a heartfelt post about D'Angelo, and then his comments kind of blew up from people being in there, one, not knowing who he is, and, that whole thing kind of spiraled from there. So, as we know, Tyler has built his career on shock value, satire, pushing boundaries. It's how he came out the gate. And it's been something that his fans have essentially grabbed onto. But now in today's culture, where the energy is a little bit different, Tyler's energy is a little bit different. So this brings up the question that I have for you guys. Is Tyler, the Creator, being unfairly judged for his old shock humor, or is it time we stop excusing harmful imagery as just jokes?
It's like I saw this backlash when Tyler posted what he posted about D'Angelo. And it was like, your families don't know who D'Angelo is or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was like, well, what does that have to do with anything about him appreciating this artist? And then it goes from that to here's a picture of Tyler, the Creator, in some questionable, attire, as far as.
The ass was out, assless chaps.
I mean, yeah,
that's the KKK uniform.
That's mild.
I think that's the one.
Yeah,
but it was just like, okay, we're just gonna have to. I'm not gonna say get used to it. Not as far as the content that he posted, but just get used to the fact that if you said something wild on Twitter 10, 15 years ago, there's a good chance it's gonna come back, and you're gonna have to explain it or apologize for it. I don't know. I've been on, Twitter or X or whatever you call it. I remember Brookins was like, yo, you need to hop on Twitter. This is the wave. Mm-hmm. And so maybe about 12, 13, maybe 14 years ago. And I don't know what I was tweeting because, at that time,
a bunch of swoop.
Twitter was about, this was stuff for your friends. You didn't think this was going to live on and people would be able to take your name and run it through some database and pull up any picture. I mean, at that time, you couldn't even post pictures. Yeah. But I just think this is a weird thing that we're going to have to get used to. It's going to probably happen to anybody that becomes famous and they reach a threshold that is close to what you'd maybe call an A-list. Because when Tyler was just, Wild Tyler, had the Adult Swim show.
Great show.
And
loved it.
I remember he got in a little trouble for a Mountain Dew.
Smell like bitch in here.
Yeah. ad or whatever. Okay, they kind of moved on, but now that this guy's winning Grammys and he's got, a certain mass appeal, if you will, it's like, okay, now we're going to hold you more accountable for the things that you've done and said in the past. It's, you know, like, did I see it and think, okay, that's inappropriate? But like, I mean, are we going to hold everyone accountable for probably their dumbest moment?
I think you kind of
moving
have
forward?
to. You have to in a certain light, man. With Tyler, his whole kind of rise, he wasn't considered one of the. How can I explain it? Like, for real, quintessential rap artist or hip hop guy. Coming from
He's
Cali.
on the fringes, if you will.
Yeah,
He was never.
He's a misfit. He said like the whole Odd Future situation was like if Wu-Tang Clan were like grunged out but black type shit or punk. I mean, they were skaters. You know what I'm saying? Their content wasn't the same as the quintessential hip hop head or even people that lived in Cali. Like, it was different. So he gravitated towards what his audience was. Now, his audience at that point in time wasn't necessarily black, so to speak. I mean, he had black fans, obviously, but I think he was kind of using his shock value to appease them a little bit. And now, and he's always been into black culture, but he tells you who his influences are. But now he's trying to get more so into that bag. He even used to say he didn't like Jordans. And now all of a sudden he's wearing Jordans. I mean, that's something light. He's had questionable lyrics. He ate roaches in a video. Even the Adult Swim show, he done some crazy shit.
Young nigga.
Yeah. What did he had the interview with what's the old dude with the glasses and the suspenders that passed
King?
away? Larry King. He had the interview with him where he asked him about pretty much saying, nigga. He's like, yeah, I say it, and probably offends a lot of people. He was at a situation where he just didn't care. And you can't necessarily give him a pass for not caring at one point and coming to a light and be on some different shit and just say that dissolves everything that he did at one point in time. He still has to be, you know what I'm saying, liable for that energy. And I think what was pissing him off about the whole D'Angelo situation is he realized his fans aren't that as in tune musically as he would like them to be.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about, for example, back in the day, I've told this story before. Dr. Dre's production made me a fan of Parliament Funkadelic.
Mm-hmm.
So nowadays, I feel like they don't really care about what the influence is. They just care about the artist itself because it's ever evolving. There's always new people to listen to anyway. They're not that into digging into the past. Lil Yachty told you that. He didn't even know who or hadn't heard a Biggie or Tupac album. And he's in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Tyler was upset that his fans didn't know some of his influences and felt like they should have.
Yeah, he had the quote here on Twitter was, what did he say? Tyler took to Twitter and criticized a segment of his fan base he pejoratively called Sunseekers, aka the white fans who were unaware of D'Angelo's legacy.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
So a post from the popular hip-hop news aggregator Kirko, not familiar, pointed out that Tyler himself liked a tweet that stated, In has Charlie Wilson, Erykah Badu, DJ Drama collaborations. They still refuse to engage with black art at any meaningful level. Very cannibalistic. So it wasn't Tyler that said that. It was
somebody else, and he liked,
and then he liked it, liked the tweet. Yeah.
Then he followed it up with the Sunseeker situation or whatever. But in reply to him saying that, a lot of those fans start saying, "Well, what about these tweets?"
Yeah.
So they kind of brought it to light and put in pretty much showing newer fans or even black people that started listening to him now, this is what he was on.
Yep.
And I feel like Tyler, the Creator, is a shock value artist, even in today's standards, and he was even more so then. But you still have to be responsible for what you're putting out there regardless.
Yeah. What do you think, Byron?
I think, so you said something a few moments ago about like you digging in the crates to listen. Like Dre made you want to check out Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a disconnection between like parents and their children when it comes to music now,
Absolutely.
where that's not a thing anymore. So you don't like children don't sit and listen to music with their parents very much anymore because tablets, things of that nature. Like, so people go off and they do their own thing. Your children go off and do their own thing, so they're not really exposed to what you listen to anymore. And that is what creating the disconnect between their audience, or maybe Tyler's audience, and the music that he listened to. You know what I mean? And the people that are listening to his music and them now. You know, so.
Yeah, I agree with that because I actually got the Parliament Funkadelic music from my dad. Like, I would take, if I got interested in some music, I would have a conversation with my pops and be like, hey, do you have this? He'd be like, yeah, I got that. And I would go get it. Like, even Miles Davis, that's how I know about Miles Davis's music, is through my pops. But I feel like just the newer generation are more so in tune to just music, how it's presented. I don't feel like and I can't say that everybody feels that way, but as a whole, it's more so I like the vibe of this artist. I'm riding with this artist, and I could care less who his influences are.
It's not valued in the same manner as it was at one point in time, like y'all say, man, because, you know, it used to be a whole process of going and purchasing and listening to music, man. Now everything is just accessible. You got access to everything at the fingertip. You know what I mean? So
with that, second question here, and I got to comment on it real quick. So when someone like Tyler builds a brand around trolling, such as he has, where do we draw the line between expression and accountability? And real quickly, what I would say is Tyler never hid who he was. From the very beginning, he has always been who he is. It was on Front Street. It's who he presented to us in the very beginning. He has never not presented, this is who I was at this period of time. I feel like the accountability conversation is interesting because we've kind of been able to grow with Tyler as he has matured, not only as a human, but also musically. And we've seen that. I personally don't feel like he needs to come back and apologize or anything of that nature to things that he was publicly saying in jest or in any type of manner years and years ago. Like, you had plenty of time to address this to him if you wanted to, you know, but at the same time, if you do want to be offended by it, that's your prerogative. You know what I mean? So, but I feel like the accountability thing is different because this wasn't hidden. This isn't like something that was hidden under the table and then they revealed this mysterious thing. Like, people, we've known this about Tyler.
Like I agree with you on that point because, like, as somebody that's listened to him forever, some of the stuff he used to say, I didn't take him as him being serious. And this is somebody that's listened to him since he's been out. It was more so, I'm going to just say some shit and you can take it however you want to take it.
And not a lot of his earlier stuff, I wasn't like a super huge fan of.
No,
like,
I wasn't.
Every once in a while, he would have something that was cool. It wasn't until he kind of matured as a musician that I was like, okay.
Probably Flower Boy.
Yeah, wherever. I don't know.
Or Cherry Bomb.
Somewhere in there. Yeah. But, you know, it eventually became like, okay, Tyler is evolving, and I can appreciate that now. So
no, I can't lie and say I've been a Tyler fan this entire time. I put him in the category of a lot of these rappers who I just feel are dope fiends and weirdos at one point. And it's been recent, like I said, maybe when he's been a little bit mature, been a little bit more aware. Because when you're young, you just don't feel like, oh, whatever, I'll say whatever. I like the whole I don't give a fuck thing that a lot of people are into, and sadly there are people who should know better and are older that still have that mentality. But that kind of mentality you have when you're young, you don't realize you're going to be 30 one day. You know, and that doesn't work the same. It's not viewed the same as when you're 19 or 20. You know, so I think that's kind of what Tyler's going through now. I've heard him in his interviews be very aware and be very much in tune to what the culture is about, as opposed to just like eating roaches and talking about, you know, lesbians and going up and saying wild shit in front of Funkmaster Flex and making him uncomfortable. Yeah. You know, like I said.
Cue the clip.
Me and Flex looking in the index for buff net niggas just for some hot butt sex.
Yeah. But yeah, like I was not, I didn't really become a fan until like the
project with DJ Drama. I mean, I liked stuff here and there. You know, I love Trouble on My Mind with Pusha T, but that video popped up in my feed, and I realized, oh wow, that's 14 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
he always had flashes that were dope. I will say that.
Yeah, but
his collective crew all had dope stuff. I mean, this is the crew that birthed Frank Ocean, Earl Sweatshirt,
the internet.
You know what I'm saying? The internet was my favorite crew out of Future. You know what I'm saying? So, and then Steve Lacy's not Odd Future, but he's in Odd Future, but he was in the internet.
Damo's my favorite.
Yeah. So they've been a collective and have been doing their thing. But Tyler, again, he's just one of those individuals that, like you said, he's going to say what he wants to say, and he's kind of remained that same type of person, but he has a different view on things, and it changed in his music. It's kind of similar to when you talk about a Childish Gambino. When you first heard Childish Gambino came out with was it Camp or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
His content was a lot different than what it evolved to by the time Stay Woke and This Is America came out. It was totally different sound. When what was it, the internet or
before the internet
or something like because
the internet.
Yeah, that was a totally different sound for him, and then he kind of continued down that same path with being more conscious of his influence and even his culture, so to speak. So I feel like Tyler is kind of going through that as well. He wants to remain true to his culture and what he is, but in the same realm, he's still being the same Tyler. He's just not as provocative as he was at one point.
Yeah.
That's a nice word.
Provocative. It gets the people going, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, sure. I think that's a decent place to stop there.
And give people room to grow, man.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, a lot of the stuff that people are bringing up, granted, I know he was 23, 24.
He was saying some wild shit.
He was, but it was like par for the course.
Yeah, I was laughing because I was thinking about him and Jared Carmichael, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that ruined Carmichael's life for a minute. He openly admitted that when he turned down his advances that he was hurt.
He was like,
I mean,
you bitch.
Like, and he turned him down like if he approached a straight dude was like, fuck out of here. Shook ass. Like, it was almost like that. I was like, I shouldn't laugh, but it was funny.
That's the thing about Tyler. We really don't know what he's presenting at.
Yeah.
Because you've never known whether to take him serious or not from what he's saying. And this is somebody that's been listening to
in the index looking for buff
necks for butt sex.
And then he was just looking at him all in his eyes.
But he was like,
yeah.
Why are you looking at me like,
whoa?
Why are you looking at me like that?
Why'd you choose that?
Why'd you choose that? Yeah. Wait. Why'd you choose that?
Yeah, he probably was sweating bullets.
He's like, this is not what I'm expecting on the freestyle.
Yeah, I'm not liking this.
Anyways.
Yeah, man, that's Tyler, man.
Because it'd be one thing if he just said he was going to do that, but he's like, no, me and Flex.
Yeah. And that was the funny part.
On the internet.
What if it wasn't Flex there and it was Mr. C?
Damn. The plot thing.
Well, he don't like him. Okay, let me stop. Let me stop.
He liked him a little
Rest
different.
in peace to Mr. C. Let me.
I'm sorry, man.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wanted a little extra equipment.
All right. How much does timing play into the success of Kendrick Lamar? So, in a recent interview with Elsie Not Elise, TD's Punch had a conversation about the impact and a release of To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. Now, as an art lover and person that appreciates Kendrick as myself, I loved the direction of To Pimp a Butterfly at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the question I wonder about is if this project could have shaped his career from that point on. And if that album was not released in that particular way that he released that, how would his career look now? Now, there's a little clip that's going to add a little bit more clarity to what I'm saying here, and then we'll get into some questions.
Gotcha.
While we were working on To Pimp a Butterfly, me and SZA would go to Beyonce sessions, and she was writing for her. Jay-Z was there every night, so I had a chance to talk to him, and I told him, I'm like, yo, we already dropped this album that's gonna piss off the whole fan base. And his response was, good, do it now so they can't never put you in a box. And that stuck with me for sure. So it gave me, like you said, when I told Q, keep coming back, it gave me like more confidence, like, yeah, we on the right track. It's rules that's set. The geniuses know when to break those rules.
So yeah. So with that being said here, would we view Kendrick differently if he dropped To Pimp a Butterfly later in his career rather than earlier? And or if his order of projects were different, does it change his trajectory as an artist? Terry, I'll let you talk.
Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily would have affected an artist like Kendrick. And it's kind of, to me, it's based off of none of his albums have the same trajectory, so to speak. So I think we were talking a little bit before the show. If he dropped To Pimp a Butterfly right now, it still would fit in today's climate.
What if after Good Kid, Mad City, he drops GNX?
I don't think that worked.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't think that works because GNX. The thing about GNX,
or even Mr. Morale, though.
Or Mr. Morale, that definitely won't work because he's already, to Jay-Z's credit, saying to drop this now since you already got it in the chamber. I can see how that album differed a whole lot from Good Kid, Mad City. I know they like to compare Good Kid, Mad City to like a movie. What's the name? To Pimp a Butterfly to like the novel, Damn to like a print book or something like that. That's how they kind of evolve his albums. But I feel like Kendrick is such a unique artist that I guess I can't really say that, man. I think it was dropped at the perfect time. I would just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because what it was and what it meant, and it's still around and circulating today. And it actually wasn't the album that was put in the Smithsonian. Right? It's the Damn. Damn is the one.
Well, Damn got the Pulitzer.
The Pulitzer.
I don't know which one's in the Smithsonian.
That one is in Smithsonian. Then I was flip flopping them, but
yeah.
I feel like Kendrick is just one of those artists that he doesn't just make music to be making music. He makes an artistic expression. But yeah, I feel like he did drop it at the right time, especially considering the climate of what was going on at that point in time. I remember waiting to vote, listening to We Gonna Be All Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like it made a lot of sense. And although it would make a lot of sense, it made a lot of sense then, it would still make sense now. But I can't see flip-flopping GNX with that particular release.
I think that's the way I kind of look at it. And then I'll come to you, Byron. But I the way that I kind of look at it is, I feel like To Pimp a Butterfly could be placed almost anywhere in time.
Mm-hmm.
But for Kendrick's discography and his ascension, if you will, the type of artist that he was looked at, if he doesn't drop To Pimp a Butterfly right then, does he have the acclaim that from an artistic standpoint, you know, like does it? I don't know.
I feel like people would still sleep though. That's the thing about Kendrick Lamar's career. I feel like he didn't really grab a whole lot of people until Drake took the bait.
And that's bad.
No, seriously. Like when you think about as a collective whole, like we have to view it as we're not the same. They not like us, essentially. You know what I'm saying? As far as being a music fan, there's people that I know that did not rock with any Kendrick album as a whole, except for Good Kid, Mad City. They appreciated To Pimp a Butterfly. Damn was cool. These are just people that I know. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I feel like once Drake took the bait, a lot of people start appreciating him more and maybe even backlogging his catalog and saying, oh, he's for real. That's how I personally feel. I could be wrong though.
Yeah.
I feel that Damn is the one that actually made people start paying attention to him, because Damn was like, I could do what y'all do and I can do it better.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he dropped, like the acclaim came with Good Kid, Mad City. You know what I mean? They put him on the radar. You know what I mean? And then he dropped To Pimp a Butterfly, and that pissed a bunch of people off, like that were expecting another Good Kid, Mad City. So it did give him the artistic expression.
Sure.
you know, and then he dropped Dance. Like, y'all didn't like that? Well, let me give y'all a little bit more of what y'all like, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of what I do, because there's some off records on there as well.
Sure.
And he did that on Damn. And
yeah, to me, Damn seemed like more of a return back to like the Good Kid Section 80 days, a little bit more. Like, okay, let me show you I can still do these records, especially with like Humble and
I think it's a cycle, because he went back to the artistic expression with Mr. Morale.
Yeah.
And then he came back with GNX.
Yeah.
Again. So it's like,
I got y'all where y'all want.
Exactly.
I want you.
He that's just the cycle of how he decides to release his projects. Now, do I think that what was the question? Could he have dropped that at the same time?
Does it affect his trajectory if he doesn't drop that in that specific place?
I can't really, looking at his discography, I can't say that, just because one thing about Kendrick, his albums, is when he drops something, you know exactly where he is mentally. You know what I mean? Maybe if the soundscape was different, maybe, but the content is always the same. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it switches his trajectory or not. Maybe it goes further, because if the music changes, I think that was the only difference between all of them, because the theme in all of his albums are the same. You know what I mean? I just think that the music is different.
Sure. What do you think, Jay?
I think he could have dropped To Pimp a Butterfly right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think he could have dropped GNX after Good Kid, Mad City. You know, it's almost, in a way, it's almost comparatively speaking to his other work, it's almost kind of celebratory, almost a victory lap, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, To Pimp a Butterfly.
In a car.
Yeah, exactly. But To Pimp a Butterfly is like, look, man, these are the times, and honestly, the times that we're in right now, To Pimp a Butterfly might even be more relevant to what's going on. You know, I don't think it was calculated. I think when he, you know, because I just remember at that time, We Gonna Be All Right meant something more than just a single, you know. And I think that became an anthem. And if you know, it's almost something we need to hear right now. We Gonna Be All Right, because we're living in strange times, you know. So I think that him putting out that album was perfect. But I think that's why I have such high regard for To Pimp Butterfly, because to me it's almost like that's his what's going on.
Yeah, like, but the thing about that, To Pimp a Butterfly, to me, is like, we as the culture have grasped onto All Right as that song. You know what I mean? As that song is that album, but really that album, man, he was expressing a lot of self-doubt in himself.
Can I get $1 or
can I
borrow?
How much a dollar costs?
How much a dollar costs? Yeah.
Think that's a comment over here.
Yeah, straight up. That's a powerful ass song.
It is. But like what you like that song, like it messes with me sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I remember it's borderline suicidal. You know what I mean? Like he loving you is complicated. He's talking to himself.
Yeah.
Screaming at himself.
Yeah, like, man, you ain't no leader. Like, what? You got all of this stuff going on. Who you think you are? You know what I mean? Then he had the song after that where he was faking drunk. You know what I mean? All of it is just music about himself and where he's at. You know what I mean? And I know I've gravitated to that album just because I find myself in there sometimes too.
For real.
In that space.
The thing about that album too, though, is that album is so timeless. I feel like it could be released at any time. Period.
Yeah,
it's just that you can't really pick and choose what album would come after Good Kid, Mad City.
Yeah, I think that's like the question that I have is by no means at all questioning if To Pimp a Butterfly could come out at any given time in America's history for that matter.
Yeah.
I think it could drop almost any time and be great. It was just more so like very specifically to like
to him
project him becoming who he is
Mm-hmm.
right now and how important that is. Which brings me to the second question: is there a time and place for artists to drop certain music? And should it be calculated, or is a more organic approach better? You know,
I think an artist should do exactly what they want to do, even if we're living in, strange days like we are now. If you want to drop the most celebratory, we outside having a good time album, that might be your political statement, as opposed to you coming in something a little bit more heavy-handed. I don't think you can drop music that isn't true to who you are as an artist. If you are not someone who, most artists, in fact, I don't think there's any artist as far as hip hop is concerned who has a good kid. I'm sorry, but a To Pimp a Butterfly.
Really either, but
yeah, it was because it seemed like it was a struggle in places for Kendrick to do. So I think if you are an artist who, expresses yourself in a way that makes it to where you are just happy and trying to tell people about your happiness and how great your life is, that is who you are. That is your statement. Don't try to like do if these walls could talk or how much a dollar cost. That is not who you are.
Yeah.
That'd probably be the most calculated wrong thing any artist could do if they all of a sudden wanted to start, it's like, hey, let me do some backpack shit right now. Like, I don't want to hear that. Even, and if you're going to do it in your lane. Like, when Jeezy does your album like The Recession, it was still a Jeezy album.
Yeah.
That's my second favorite Jeezy album.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, it was straight up street shit in his, in his first album and the TM 101, which is to me a classic. But I love The Recession.
Bonafide.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that you can't force music into the time if you don't have the wherewithal or the inspiration to do things that are, you don't try to fit what's going on if that's not who you are as a person.
Yeah.
that's not really art, is it?
No,
Nah.
no, that is product.
I mean,
Exactly.
there is an artist that did try to do that. Tried to make a To Pimp the Butterfly, and it just, a lot of people loved it. They love him.
Is this Logic?
He's one of them. But I thought Born Sinner was diet. To Pimp the Butterfly too, man.
I never thought of it like that.
I wasn't even a big fan of Born Sinner like that.
I wasn't, but when I heard it, I was like, man, this sounds like you trying to do that, man. And it just didn't hit for me. And then he came with Forest Hills, and it was like, okay,
Yeah, that seemed more his speed to me.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like as long as the artist is remaining authentic to themselves, I don't think there is a period of time or a style that needs to be muted, you know what I'm saying, in general of what's going on outside. I think they should just release whatever they feel. And Kendrick might be the poster child of that when it comes down to it, because none of his albums sound the same. People don't like, what's it called? Mr. Morale. It's a therapy session.
It's a hard album to listen.
It is. You know what I'm saying? And it's not one of the albums that I go back to a lot, but I appreciate it for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to kind of find yourself in those moments with the artist. I don't think there's me personally, I don't like artists that chase sound. So I don't want to hear you try to give me an authentic version of yourself with an updated kit if it isn't true to you.
Yeah.
I can't think of an artist that does what Kendrick does outside of Andre 3000.
Outkast, because Outkast actually has the kind of, so when you think of a Good Kid, Mad City into To Pimp a Butterfly, that's kind of the same way as Southern Playalistic into AT-Aliens. There were people that did not like AT-Aliens at all.
I was one of those.
Then they followed it up with Return of the Gangsta on not Stank on You, but Aquemini. It was like a return of you're going to get a mix of both of this, and I'm going to explain to you why.
Yeah.
I had to grow to like AT-Aliens.
I
You know what I
love
mean?
that album.
Because when I first heard it, like, granted I was a kid.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But like, I loved Elevators.
Yeah.
And then like when I listened to the album, I'm like, man, this don't sound like what I'm used to. You know what I mean? But then
But it still had Jazzy
The more I
Bell
listen to it,
and Wheels of Steel on it though.
The
that
more-
one was fire.
the more I listen to it, like, cause the record, what was it?
Grown Old.
Extraterrestrial. That was one of my favorite records on there. Waylon, Mainstream, Babylon.
It's very similar to what Kendrick did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Because I can't really. I mean, I think he's kind of a generational artist, and that's you know, in that aspect. I double your guys' sentiments. I you know, obviously as an artist, like I feel like it's so easy nowadays to look at art through the lens of commerce and product, as opposed to like make your art and then figure out how to market it in a way that's going to reach the people that you want to reach, because everything is kind of focused on virality and trying to reach as many people as possible instead of your people. And I don't know anybody else who could have made it To Pimp a Butterfly, that type of album, and had it have that type of impact either. You know what I mean? Because look, it's a great album, but there are a lot of great artists out there that have dropped albums pretty close to as good as To Pimp a Butterfly in a reasonable type of realm, I would say. And, you know, to me, the importance is, or the, what makes it great is that he was the artist that he was, and then he did that anyways. So
Like the closest person on the run, like the first two album run to that, to me, outside of like your Kanye's and all that stuff, the one that just almost got there but it fell off was Lupe, man.
He
like
was who I was thinking too.
First two projects, man, he was.
Yep.
He was on to something.
Yeah, and then Lasers came out, and you know he had that label dispute, and then it was over from there. But
The first two singles was fire from that album, and then it was just like the album just wasn't it.
Yeah.
But this is also, again, this is why so many of us were so excited to see an artist like Kendrick become more mainstream and a star, is because like, oh, he's bringing that to the forefront. So
he's being 100% authentic at the end of the day, man.
And especially in a generation where in times where like they were dumbing down everything, man, and it was just.
We played a song called "Dumb It Down."
Yeah, everything was just stupid.
Was that on Lasers?
It was.
I thought it was a mixtape.
I thought that was on the Cool. It was on the
that
Cool.
was on the Cool. My bad. It's just different artists, especially in today's day and time. There's people that want to put out music just to be putting out music, and there's some people that put out music that is a direct reflection of them and what they're going through. And this is what I feel like giving to you. So
that's the way it's supposed to.
That's the way it's supposed to be. But artistic expression has differentiated between that and being a part of the algorithm, playing to that. So that's just where we are in that. So shout out to artists that are similar to Kendrick that can do that and remain true to themselves and still make good music.
Exhibit said it best. It's a shame niggas in the rap game only for the money and the fame.
Paparazzi.
And then the Outlaws came through and cut his ass up.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member. All details on newoldheads.com.
All right, so Redman and Black Thought have thrived where many legacy acts, I would say, haven't. There was a recent Rolling Stones discussion that came out actually today. It's like a musician to musician series. I don't know if you've seen that, where they're just kind of sitting talking to each other. And they talked about the challenges in the music landscape as they've gotten older throughout the years. You know, as somebody such as myself who has studied and engaged in releasing both music and content, you know, teach the stuff as well. You know, the idea of monetization in arts, or the actual art versus the brand attached to it is a constant, regular conversation that even we have, you know, and that all musicians kind of have to continually talk about. But with streaming kind of being under constant scrutiny, you know, and the push for community and connectiveness, it seems like we're leaning on one side more than the other right now being important. Let's watch this video from Black Thought, this short little clip, and then I'll ask you guys a couple questions about it. So,
How do you feel about just giving the music away and then, building your brand on the residual effect of that? You know what I'm saying?
The streaming left you kind of with no choice but to play along. There are a couple of platforms that you can just direct your music to buy. Mm-hmm. But are you willing to take that choice, that chance? Feel me? Like with this album, Muddy Waters 2, like Muddy Waters 2 got like close to 70 million streams. And that's good for an OG artist like me, right? Yeah. But the money that comes with the streams is horrible. Do I bank on trying to get the money or just bank on the awareness of it being spreaded through Spotify, through iTunes?
In a Roots capacity, we've always banked on the awareness. We would record a record because that would support us being on tour. We never put out an album with the intention of, this is gonna go double, triple, platinum, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just weren't that sort of act. We weren't doing those numbers. And so, I think there's something in sort of, just doing music to sustain your career as a road warrior.
Right.
Which is, and you talk about that balance, that's what, we definitely struck that balance.
Right.
What difference do we notice in a Redman and a Black Thought and the Roots versus other acts that may have not been, as successful with having a long evolving music career?
For one, the Roots are on Jimmy Fallon.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's a huge cheat code for them. Now, granted, what he's talking about is the type of artist
but
that
even
he is.
with that being said, that was a choice that they made.
Right, exactly.
Right? So,
but like talking about the type of artist that they were, and I can attest to this because I've been to at least 3 Root shows. They've never been the artist that cares about being on the radio. It's more so we gonna do us, and if you rock with us, come see us, and you gonna get you know what I'm saying? The show is gonna be dope.
In a radio days.
Yeah. But Redman too. Redman kind of, I feel like Redman kind of touched a little bit like the height of a rap career at one point in time.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
He also talked in this about how him and Meth hit a high point and how high.
Yeah.
But was able to still bounce back as independent hip hop artists and have a career.
They was doing movies and stuff like that, and had endorsements.
I can quote that movie, like
yeah. But you have 2 different artists that were never. I kind of feel like the rap game had tiers at one point in time. You had like the Jay-Z's, the Nellies, and the Eminems, and then you had like people right up under them. And then you had another tier that I would probably put the Roots on the 3rd tier. But they made up for it with their musicality.
Sure.
Meth and Red was on that second tier.
Yeah, Meth and Red was on that second tier. And
they
continue to pretty much tour and make music that was true to themselves, like conversation we just had.
And you're talking about popularity essentially, right?
Yeah. And we're still able to do what they wanted to do. Whereas Redman, him talking about the streaming situation, the key now is like put out something to feed people, but you have to tour with it. Mm-hmm. If you're not touring with it, it's not going to reap the same fruits of that labor that you might have got at one point in time, depending, like, especially based off the type of artist that you were. So he's not going to be able to reap the same benefits as the Roots being on Jimmy Fallon. They can drop something tomorrow. Some people are going to rock with it regardless. And they're looking at him every single night.
Yeah.
Redman's going to have to work a little bit harder. He's going to have to tour his album. Like, I was excited for Muddy Waters too, but I can't say that it lived up to the same hype as the first one. But with a tour, maybe I might have rocked with it a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah.
See, that and what you just said was what I was going to say. The difference is between the 2 of them and why they are able to continue to be successful. Redman never stopped touring.
Yeah.
He was always on the road. He was always in people's face, giving them something. You know what I mean? Even if it was that old stuff. Yeah.
He was doing cameos for a while. Like, he drops videos on YouTube all the time, just him rapping.
Mm-hmm. Like Redman never quit. He was always in your face. The Roots, they are always in your face every night. You know what I mean? So if Black Thought, when he drops he's always fresh on your mind. You don't get an opportunity to forget about him because you see him every night on Jimmy Fallon. So if he drops a new project, let me go check out this new Black Thought project.
Yeah.
You can't be
stagnant.
Yeah, you can't be stagnant anymore in today's economy, man. When it comes to music, you got to have something to give the people. If you gone for more than 3 months, you easy to be forgotten about.
Yeah. I think that's to me, that's really it's just, you have to be in people's faces. It's not necessarily that Rakim or Big Daddy Kane have lost a step as far as being MCs. It's just that they're not in our faces like that. Nah. Same with like an Eric Sermon. Same with, they're still dropping good stuff. It's why we still talk about Nas, because he still drops albums.
Well, the thing is, they took long periods of time.
Very long.
You know what I mean? Where you didn't hear anything from him. Like, Kane is on the road now.
Yeah.
Kane just put out a record with the RZA.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the thing is, he took so long of a gap.
Yeah.
He took so long of a gap that it's like, you got to build that back up. You know what I mean? So, like, you see Kane on Club Shay Shay. You know what I mean? And that would have been a perfect time to drop a project.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because people are talking about you.
Yeah, I think momentum is a very important piece, not only in the music industry, but also life. But anyways, Jay, what do you think?
No, I think one of the things that made this conversation interesting, because I've watched little bits and pieces of the rest of it, is when Redman said, okay, I did 70 million streams and the money was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand the difference between Redman and Black Thought. First of all, Black Thought was in a group. Okay, so when he'd see his record sales and it was split up between all these people, of course, you better get out there and tour. You better sell some T-shirts. You better get on and sell some merch. Redman has gold and platinum plaques as a solo artist. So he has a whole different perspective as far as what this is supposed to look like. Now, where we are now in the streaming era, Redman, he does understand that you got to get out on this road. You got to have T-shirts because, okay, no one's coming to buy my $12.99 CD anymore.
That's been $20 on a T-shirt.
$20 if you're lucky.
40. Yeah, you're right.
If you're lucky. But we saw this firsthand when we went to go see Little Brother in Chicago.
They actually had reasonable prices on their shirts.
Except for their hats.
Yeah, the hat was stupid.
The hats were $65. I was like, whoa.
But
fitted?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're fitted.
But you know that those LOX hats, those are going for $200.
Yeah, that's
what?
wild.
Yes.
Like them Treated Crew hats was done
like
too.
$200.
Yeah. And so I think one of the things that why rappers are eating now, it has nothing to do with the record sales. They don't, they realize that is, some of them I think I don't want to say they've given up. They want to put out the music and have people enjoy it, engage with it, but they know there's no money coming there.
Yeah, it's just a vehicle.
So they got hard, so if they know, if they're lucky enough to be able to sell hard tickets, get out and sell $60 hats and $30 T-shirts, they're not worried about the little pennies and half and hay pennies that they're getting from these streaming services.
I feel like it's always been like that, though. I feel like a lot of these artists have always particularly ate off of the tour itself. So when you add streaming into it, it's like you damn near have to tour the album. Like I think Muddy Waters 2 had been promised for at least 5 years before it came out.
I think
I'm being generous.
Yeah, you are.
You know what I'm saying? And when it finally came out, it's one of those situations where you lose interest in it. But if Redman, like y'all talk about how he tours, I've only ever seen Redman accompanied by Method Man. I've never seen Redman by himself. Yeah. Now, if he had done a tour with this album to his fan base, I think it might have fared better monetarily. But I don't think the streams is ever going to change.
Well, maybe. I mean, I think another piece to that, and then I'll pose another question, is, the difference between now and then, to your point, it is very similar because back then you had labels as the middlemen that would take a high percentage of the artist royalty.
Yeah.
So even if you're selling a CD for $10, $15, you're really only recouping a small percentage of that anyways. Now, if you're doing it independent, now the tech companies are essentially that middleman, right? Mm-hmm. And recouping that. But that brings up kind of the second question here, which is how do you think an artist should present themselves moving forward? You know, should they focus on selling their art or should they focus on selling their brand that leads to their art? And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about because, you know, streaming, Jay was kind of hinting on this. What I tell people, what I tell students and young producers and stuff and young musicians is music platforms such as Spotify, iTunes, all these things, they are marketing tools. Mm-hmm. If you want to stand on principle and not have your music on these platforms because they're ripping you off, I can understand that. But realistically, if you look at these platforms as marketing tools as opposed to something that's supposed to pay me for my thing, mm-hmm. then maybe you can look at it a little bit differently. So $70,000 in streams, to me, that's supplemental, or 70 million streams. That's supplemental income based upon what he should be doing. Sure, touring, but I think more so direct to consumer. Whatever your direct to consumer thing is, whether that's selling merch on a tour, that's where you're going to make money. Mm-hmm. The Roots are going to make far less money on tour individually than somebody like Redman and Method Man would, you know, because there's so many different hands to split up. But it's really the merch. It's really like the things that you can upsell for such a high amount of, it's like we as a podcast, we can make money, supplemental money off of income and views, but we're going to make money if we have a whole bunch of stuff for people to come over to cop and that want to support it, that they can put on their body and things of that nature. You know what I mean? So,
and that marketing.
Yeah. And it's marketing in itself. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think it's different ways to kind of look at it. Do you guys have any other thoughts on that?
No, I think that's just a way of all art, period. Like you go to a comedy show,
boom,
the comedian is on stage telling you, after I get up done with my set, I'm be in the back taking pictures. I got merch. I got whatever. You know what I'm saying? People tend to have to rely on that extra tangible item in order to make their income mean or take it to the next level. I don't think it's never going to be streaming right now.
The tangible item is the show.
That's the show.
Yeah.
Artists need NIL.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the NIL is that tangible item for whenever somebody sponsors this particular artist, because they're getting WNBA money from these streams.
Yeah. And the music in itself is realistically, it's the basis of it all, but it's not what's selling. And art isn't supposed to be business selling like that anyways. It's supposed to be art. So it's all about how you can flip that art into some sort of
That's why the bigger artists, every time they release an album, as soon as that album is released, a tour is announced. Because this is where I'm going to make my money.
Sure.
If Beyonce drops an album, you already know she's coming to see you.
Yep.
If Kendrick drops an album, you know he's coming to see you.
Yep.
If Drake drops an album, you know he's coming to see you. It's built into their business
plan. Yep.
You know, their business plan. Yep. So it's not about how many records am I going to sell, because people aren't buying records. They're streaming everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So in order for me to get this money for real and make a living or exceeding living off of this, I have to go on tour whether I want to or not.
That's why Beyonce tickets are $400 or $500.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
$400 or $500.
Yeah.
Governator will tell you how much are they.
He said.
No, but the thing
give
is,
you an idea.
When we talk about Beyonce, Redman, you know, even when we're talking about Redman and Black Thought, you know, and then we talk about newer artists, Playboy Cardi, you know, like my godson just went to go see him last night. Right now, he's a brand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what the struggle is if you are somebody who has a hit record, that doesn't automatically make you a brand.
No.
You know, there has to be a certain already community built around your music. There has to be, that's why there's so many people who are on the radio right now and have songs in a heavy rotation that can't sell a t-shirt, can't sell a hard ticket, because they don't actually have a brand. They've created a vibe for somebody. They've created a situation for themselves where, like, okay, I'm famous, but I'm definitely not rich because I can't sell anything to anybody. People are streaming my music, but they're not in a position to where I'm not in a position to where I can put on even a half-hour show.
Yeah, they made a song for a playlist.
Yeah, so I think that's the struggle with newer artists is what do I have to do to become a brand and create community to where people will invest in me, to where, okay, I can put out these these songs. That's great. That maintains my relevance, if you will. But what's going to maintain me just as a human being is being able to sell you tickets, sell my hard copies of my CD or even my vinyl at a show, or sell you a T-shirt so you can say I went to the Playboy Cardi show.
Yeah.
And people will know and they'll ask me about it, and then I can spread the word about Playboy Cardi.
You have to invite people. I say this all the time. Jack's probably heard me say this a bazillion times. You have to be active in other people's lives. Like, you have to be an active character in other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to allow people to be active characters in your life as well. And so you do that by merch and by stuff that people can hold on to and things of this nature. So yeah, I'm a big fan of
and just because you have a hit song or you're out here on TV a little bit and you're at the award show, sitting in the front row, that doesn't automatically make you a brand. It makes you famous. What really makes you a brand and makes you an integral part of people's lives is when you're first starting out. You're signing CDs, you're shaking hands, you're going to the places where your fans actually are. I think there are a lot of artists who feel like, okay, I'm on now and I can automatically receive the superstar treatment. And you got to realize that, like, you're still in a place to where if song number 2 comes out and people have no reaction to it, your career is essentially over.
Yeah.
You have to be in a position to where people are going to be like, no, that's my guy. And it's hard, and it's a lot more work than a lot of artists are willing to do. That's why we see so many people who are here today and gone tomorrow.
Yeah, it's smoke and mirrors at the end of the day, because it's easy to put you on a plane and have you go perform somewhere and you look and get to enjoy the benefits of being around these people, but it's not paying you monetarily. It's just you're being seen. You're not making any money off this shit.
Yeah.
I remember there are artists I've seen. Look, I mean, when you think about the fact that at one point, there was an opportunity to book Kendrick Lamar at the Jazz Kitchen.
Yeah.
Or I remember Wiz Khalifa used to be at like the living room.
Sure.
Wale was here and his reps came in, the coaches after he performed and was handing out stickers. And we didn't even know Wale was in town.
It was this when he played in Castleton? It was like a show in Castleton.
Yes, it was something weird and obscure.
Yeah. I remember that.
Was it like the Music Mill or something?
I can't even remember. There was some random place in Castleton.
Music Mill, man.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I think that's what it is, because we prop people up to automatically be superstars, and because they're hot for just that 15 minutes. And it's so hard to maintain that, especially if the artist believes his own hype and doesn't understand. Is like, no, you better. There aren't what they used to call in-stores where people would show up. I mean, Jay-Z was still doing in-stores up until what was it? Hard Knock Life. It was still a thing where I got to get out here and be close to the people and shake hands and sign
Just
autographs. It wasn't a thing. I can't just come to your city, sit up in my hotel room, and then go to the show and then get in my limo and go back to the hotel and go to the next city. Like, if you have that mentality, that's why you're not on anymore, or not even at a place where people can see you as a legacy artist. I remember it was in a way it was kind of funny, but at the same time I understand and I appreciate it. It was like maybe 12, 13 years ago. It was during Black Expo, and of course there's no record stores at the time. And Drew Hill came to a Walgreens.
I remember that.
And they came and signed pictures and signed CDs and took pictures with everybody. And these are artists. This is a group that has sold several million records at this point, but they're in grind mode once again. And if those people are the people who buy your tickets and your hard tickets, even if you don't have a new song out, they'll come hear you sing their favorite songs from your first couple albums. And that's how you maintain yourself as an artist.
Hey, man, make sure you guys, if you're artists out there and you're watching this and you tour, check out Indie City and Vinyl. They got a brand new space called the 808, and they can do in-stores.
There you go.
So when you drop that new record, why don't you call them up and be like, hey, we can come and do a record signing, do a performance for the people, and you can get back out here and touch hands and
you can put
touch
some merch
babies
in
and
there.
kiss hands.
Yeah.
And
touch babies, kiss hands.
And that, folks, is product placement.
Hey.
And that is how you build a brand.
We're on a nice Indie CD and Vinyl t-shirt right now. They're one of our wonderful sponsors.
Yep, we got these as well. Come see them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's Thank you guys for watching New Old Heads episode 458. I'm Lonegevity for Jay Moore, Jay Diff, Brother to the Night, and of course Govinator on the place. Make sure you become a Patreon member. If you're not a Patreon member, get that uncut episode, and we will see you next week for other cool stuff.
Yeah.
In a minute, man.
Bongity bong bong bong.